Hey guys, Lori here, reporting from Earth in the Midwest of the United States of America. Um, Look, we've all gotten very tired, and it's right before the voting, the final voting, and the count. I'm not here to try to sway you either way. What I'm here to try to tell you is what I see. And maybe with a clearer perception, we'll all make a better choice and better choices in the future. What I see is people in a country that were used to their freedom and their freedom of speech, their freedom of movement, uh, their ability to buy wherever they wanted to buy. And they worked hard to get their pay up and get decent living so they could have a decent living space and enjoy some of the better things in life, which is mostly eating out once in a while and enjoying good friends and family. Um, but there's a breakdown, and it's been in education, it's been in big box stores, being developed and hushed all over the country. And we got to ask ourselves, well, how did we let it happen? How did we allow our country to break regulations, even including the media? And how did we stop getting involved? Um, did we get so busy trying to make sure we fit this and fit that into our lives and our children's lives that we forgot what was most important? Perhaps that's how we need to look at right now. What is most important? Family, friends, neighborhoods. What I'm seeing is people trying to make it work with the high cost of everything going up. And quite frankly, I'm not sure how anybody's really pulling it off well. And but they're trying. I see people helping family. I see people helping each other, neighbors even helping each other. What I see is a consistent flow towards love, friendship, camaraderie, uh, not separation and not division. Oh, there's a few handful of mouthy ones out there, and they're just, in my opinion, small people that never got the chance to speak up. And and finally they feel they can. Hopefully, eventually they'll see how stupid they look, but it takes all kinds. I did grow up and raise my kids on Sesame Street, so it does take all kinds to make the world go round. And I think most of us are intelligent enough to see that. I think what we have learned a great deal about in this battle for presidency and for the Senate is that we need to fine tune our government again, get it back to the original Constitution and the couple amendments that were made, not all this BS that they have shoved into every uh, law that they wanted to pass, and new funding and this and that. And they always used our personal rights here in this country as their sway vote for whatever it is. Number one, nobody can touch Social Security, and the government owes Social Security a little over $3 trillion. Now, how they managed to get it out in the first fucking place, we're not sure. Some about some space deal, space wars, whatever. We're not even allowed out in the goddamn galaxy yet. We're quarantined from being able to go out there, and they know it. Anyway, there's a lot of things that are going to come to the forefront as truth. But even in the New Age and spiritual communities, there's so much lies and so much bullshit that, the demigods of Earth have made one hell of a playbill for screwing everything up. So I think what we need to look at is truth in our own hearts. truth in our own actions and the actions of others around us. There is a reason we need to maintain our sovereignty, and we can appeal to, and let me get this wording right. We can appeal to the supreme judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions. We have the ability, the whole world does, the humans have the ability to appeal to the supreme judge of the world. That's a powerful one that's seated on this planet. And we are run by aliens. I'm just going to spit it out there. That's what the elite are. And the Anunnaki are on the planet. There's a handful of them already here. They've been here. They've never left. But there is Nibiru, the mother planet. It's on a 2,600 year or 3,600 year loop around our sun. It's got a large elliptical, and it brings its system with it, part of our old system. They were part of Earth. We're the remnants of what was left after the big war in heaven. The big war in heaven was the Anunnaki. Now, our souls were here before they got here. There were other beings that were here before the Anunnaki got here. The thing is that when the Anunnaki did show up in this district and decided they wanted to take Earth for all its fine minerals and set up shop here, they were asked if they would please, because they are some of the best geneticists in the known universe, if they would please make a form that would house our souls, these powerful beings that were stuck on the planet, forgot who they were, you know, they're plants, they're rocks, they're animals, they're in everything. And that's a long story, and if you care to, I've got it in here somewhere in my YouTube file. But what I'm seeing and what we need to understand greatly here is that we are sovereign beings, we are divine beings of the great source. We don't need to belong to a unity of one. We don't need to belong to a beehive, so to speak, a hive mind. We were individual souls with divine spark. We were never meant to be in a hive mind. We already are one with the universe, one with everything. We were already gods, godlike. And we were created in Source's image, in the fact that's our soul, which is a golden light being. Our form, our physical form, was also created after powerful ones. They like to be called powerful ones, not so much gods. They eventually, after trial and error is where we get all the mythological creatures and all that from, that once was real. But they were attempting to find a decent form for our souls to hold. And finally, Enki's wife, Nanan, she made the decision to incorporate the powerful ones' DNA into ours, the one humanoid that they had created. It wasn't functioning, it wasn't working well for our growth as a spiritual being. But she did, and the take took. It took. But after time goes by, they got used to using us as slaves, and helpful helpers, and we would get so far up the ladder, so to speak, or the pyramid, and then things would start tumbling back down to bring us back down. And in this country, and like I said, every human on the planet has this right to break free and be sovereign, to not go to war with anybody. That's their business. Let them go in a boxing ring and fight over space. Why do we go to war for them? And then they tell the universe, from where we're at, well, it's these humans, they just never grow up. They never get it. They never stop being violent. Really. We are the least violent people on the planet when we are, I guess, happy. We go to war to protect our families and our children and our homeland. That's what we do. There's nothing wrong with that. We will not stand idly by. And I don't think God expects us to. I think what God really expects is for us to stand on our own 2 feet and do what's right for the greater good of all, not just a handful. Yes, our country is a mess. This is the one thing we've really truly learned through all this last 20 years, that something got away from us. And it started when they started busting up after World War II. They started busting up our regulations and this and that. And then these powerhouses came in and started buying up little successful businesses so that they could incorporate them into their bigger scheme of things. They're immortals, so yes, they can take all the time they want to make a plan. And they can sit back and be patient when something's not working until they can get the right angle to get it to work in their favor. Is their ideas real bad? No, not really, but they aren't freedom. They aren't, it doesn't leave us to have any fun or to be something more. And we're at this stage in the game where I think we all want to be a little bit more, and enjoy family and friends more again, and get back to the simpler things, because we appreciate what the simpler things really are. So what I'm saying is, whatever happens on November 5th, let it be, and focus on the Senate and Congress and the Supreme Court. They have to be adjusted. That's where our biggest change will come in. But mostly, take a look around. The people you know, the people, some of them you don't know, neighbors, whatever. But take a look around and see what's really going on amongst people, each other. Watch at the grocery stores. What I always see, I don't see any of that violence and that ugliness that everybody keeps talking about. What I've been seeing is people helping each other, and or giving people space when they need it, because people are healing during this time. Believe it or not, you got to go almost crazy to get through the healing and to get through an awakening. And another thing is the elite decided to disrupt even our awakening. Being awoke is not what people are telling you correctly. Being awoken means that you are aware of your divine self, your oneness with Source, and that the kingdom of heaven is within you, All knowledge of the universe is within you, each one of us. So what I'm saying is take a few minutes every day to meditate, to center yourself in your heart. And when you go to the polls, do what your intuition says to do. And let it be. We'll constantly have to work from wherever we're at. But start using your ability to look at, without judgment, the bigger picture. To look at what they've been doing and find a way to make a statement for them to stop doing it. The things that are wrong, that tie up our government, and tell them that they can't use our rights anymore to sway their vote. Our rights are never up for grabs, ever. Not in the United States of America, and not on earth, ever again. We have rights, and we will maintain them. So use your emails, get those email addresses, and start emailing our senators in Congress. Start being an active participant. I know that a lot of New Agers and a lot of spiritual people are thinking, well, they don't have to be involved. They just have to daydream and think. You know, those are nice things. But you also have to be involved, like it or not. This is the fight for our rights on earth as humans. And our right to know truth, to see the truth, to hear the truth, and given the time to adjust to the truth, so that we too can go onward, upward and onward from where we're actually from, and we'll find something else to get ourselves into eventually. We're the rebels. No, we're just curious, and we love to see new things in the universe. We just have to get stuck here a little longer than probably was necessary. But start deep breathing, and breathe through your heart, and exhale through your heart. Start bringing your mind and heart coherence together with your soul. I know this is a big thing to reach out for, because most religions just teach you to pray and leave it up to God. Well, you're the gods. You're part of all that. So maybe it's time we start realizing that and start utilizing our gifts in a more powerful way, because we can. But not in a negative way, in a positive way. Anyway, and look for the helpers. Anytime there's war or crisis, look for the helpers. But there's a lot of shit going on behind our backs, from our government, from the elite. And it's time for all that to come forward too. So hold on to your seatbelts. This is going to be a hell of a ride. But if we still focus on what's good for the greater good of all, and start putting our country back together the way it's meant to be, we can live in a democracy, not capitalism, and definitely not a dictatorship. And there is no room in running a government for religion at all. So leave that be. That is a personal thing for people. It has no place in government. Government is to take into consideration that we have so many different ways of worshiping, and that we need to leave that for the individual person to choose how they wish. That's their freedom. If you lived in other countries, you'd realize that that's a pretty big freedom, because most of them are told how to worship and when and who. Here, everybody has the right to choose their own way. And the reality of it is they keep using these big issues that are important to all of us. But abortion was set up to protect the feminine, to protect her from getting destroyed or ruined so she couldn't have children later. So she still can have children and she wasn't killed. Abortion will never go away because it's been here since the beginning of time. Women are intelligent when it comes to knowing when that seed shouldn't be born. That DNA match isn't going to work real well together. They just know. And all the men out there need to start standing up for their women and their daughters and where women have come from, and admit that some of you were the first ones out of your mouth to mention abortion, because men have a need to spread their seed, but you leave it all on the woman's shoulders to handle when that seed is born. So you need to look. That's why our government doesn't have religion involved. It has common sense so that it can take care of the people in the best way and let them have their beliefs, so they're personal, but they cannot be in the government. And I don't know about you, but I love my car, and I love my freedom that car gives me, even though I don't go anywhere very often now that I'm retired. But I know that whenever I want to, I can get my car and I can drive a couple 100 miles if I want, or, you know, I can go get a candy bar. I laughingly told my daughter. And what am I trying to say here? Is that you need to remember who you are, remember your power, and it's in your words. So watch your words. Let the dummy show of the politics right now, let them do what they're going to do, because it's a show. It's almost like a game show. They well orchestrated game show. And at this point, I'm not even sure if we'll keep our country. The elites may win. I don't know. But if you're curious about that, read Project 21 slash 2030. They have to keep changing it a little bit, but they're utilizing it under the climate control and the United Nations and World Economic Control. So allow yourself to breathe. Allow yourself not to worry. Allow yourself to see what's really going on out there, because it's not all the bullshit they're showing you on the videos and TV and TikTok and stuff like that. Most of it's fake. So be gentle with each other and mostly yourselves. This is a time that God hopes we all go inward and look deeply at who we are, what we stand for, and what we want out of life. So take the time. Vote with your heart and your values. You can't have good values and then put someone like Trump in office, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the bullies and the one successful rotten person in the football team getting all the credit and then getting this success and da-da-da-da-da. I don't even think he played football. If he did, he was probably on the bench. I think he'd be afraid to get hit by the football. But point being, J.D. Vance is hiding his past because he's ashamed of it. Which, you know, we all have certain things in our past that we might be ashamed of, but you can't hide it. Not like he did. There has to be something bigger going on there, especially when you change your name twice. I'm not crazy about Kamala either. I know that right now, and I'm aggravated just like everyone else, that I have to vote for the lesser of two evils. But that's what we're doing right now. However, I think we run a really big grassroots for a third party this next season, and give them a run for their money to get back to the truth and to stop putting, number one, stop threatening our rights. Our rights are given by the United Nations as well as the Constitution. And let's get our regulations back in order the way they should be. When our forefathers made that Constitution and they wrote it, it was to keep the European elites out of our country and their conglomerates where they manage and everything. Now they want to get down to one world bank. Do you think that's a good idea? I don't. They would really like to strip the United States of its power completely and put 7 different countries here, split it up in 7 different pieces. Then you got to figure out where in the hell you want to go there, you know. Just remember that no matter what happens, we can't stay uninvolved anymore. We have to be a little more involved every step of the way now. There's a lot of us that are retired now. We should be the ones really scoping this stuff out and building communities of people that are the watchers, basically, to watch how our government is being run. And there's some things we need to put in protocols to keep them from ever doing this again. We thought the Constitution would hold, but they found ways around it. And when they tell you that people that are getting benefits and help is taking all our money, that's a bold-ass lie. Who's taking all the money and taking the big amounts of money are the elite, the big businesses, the conglomerates. So we need to find a way to undo all this really quickly, or we will be in a dystopia of what they decide we should eat, drink, and how we should live, and what we can have and what we can't have, what we can do and what we can't do. I say they can go to hell, and we're going to do our own thing. But we have to stand up and ask for our sovereignty completely this time, away from the crown. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Keep our country. Show that democracy works when we have our regulations and we hold on to the way it was written. The Electoral College needs to go because that was only started to help those areas that were mostly farmland, and it was too far for everyone to get to even vote. So they came up with the Electoral College. But it's different now. And we need to find out who isn't allowed to vote. The Native Americans don't even have voting sections on their land. Now they're getting some, finally, after all these years, this is the first time they've been getting some help and getting satellite locations brought in for them to vote. We need to wake up and see all the madness for what it is. A land grab, a country grab, a world grab. And what's even worse, it makes it a little more complicated, is it seems that there's at least 3 strong groups wanting to take power over the over the country and the world, actually, to rule Earth. And it's not pretty. And yet, we're the true power on the planet if we would wake up to it. So, just deep breathe, get with your heart center, and start listening to God more. Your intuition. That's what God talks through, your intuition. And we got to love each other. We have to care about each other. None of us are perfect, and none of us are going to be the same as the other. We weren't meant to. We were never meant to be identical in any way, shape, or form, uniquely ourselves. And the war in Israel, they have become the monster that Hitler was out of revenge. You and I both know it didn't need to go that far. So is our friendship with Israel really worth it? I don't know. I'm beginning to think not. Except for the people of Israel. But the powers that are running there and keeping that violent war going, it's a genocide. And I don't think that's something we're supposed to be proud of or happy for. So a lot of more prayers that stops. And find a way to be happy. One small thing a day to get you through your day. And don't forget your elderly, because they're home alone every day, all alone. And they see this stuff on the news. They get scared. And they just need to know somebody loves and cares about them. So they need somebody to stop in once in a while and say hi. Say, I love you. Do you need anything? So keep an eye on your neighbors. Keep an eye on your family. But most of all, stand up for yourself. We have that right as humans, as star beings, the star beings that we are. And I guess that's all I got today. Love you. Talk to you later. Lori out.